Welcome to Audible Sportscast, your home for all things sports. Welcome back to another episode, ladies and gentlemen. We have Brett, Jeff, and Cody here today. How is everyone doing?
Good. How are you guys?
Not too bad.
It's not too bad, but, first official episode since, off-season, leaning towards more in the off-season. Now Super Bowl is over, and luckily for us this off-season, we have football still going around professionally. XFL started last weekend. USFL is going to start here, I believe, mid-April, so even though the NFL isn't playing, we still have professional football going on, and so it'd be pretty cool right now to talk about the XFL in general. They did some pretty interesting stuff in their debut, looking at kind of how they did the reffing, where the actual head ref was in a booth at the game telling the refs on the field what to do. I think that's something I think everyone agrees in some aspect the NFL needs to implement.
Yep.
But also there's some pretty interesting play designs, or not play designs, but ways to play on the field that I think the NFL should use. One of those things, I think, and it's something the NFL has talked about before, is getting rid of the onside kick and moving to you have a 4th and long you have to get to. So pretty much instead of the onside kick, it's like, okay, if you can get this first down on a 4th and long, you can, have the ball again. And
Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
I was just going to say, in the XFL, it's 4th and 15. I think for the NFL standards, that's a little short, maybe closer to 4th and 25-ish, but I don't know. What do you guys think?
I mean, I like a lot of what the XFL is doing. My biggest takeaway is the kickoff rules.
Oh, yeah.
So I forget what was the yardage they have to stay they're stationary on, and then the kick returner has to catch the ball before anyone moves. I don't know.
Yeah, it's different,
and it keeps them safe. And
oh yeah, and it's not like it takes away any of the physical aspects. You pretty much, the kicker is still kicking it from about where he would be in the NFL, and you literally, there is a 5-yard gap between all the blockers and all the people on the kickoff team. So it's kind of more of in some ways like an Oklahoma drill. It kind of reminds me of, where you just whoever can get the best block, then hopefully the returner goes through that hole. But the fact that they can't move until he catches it too, it's almost like you have to have an instinct. All right, who's my best blocker? Where am I gonna go? I think it's pretty cool, and it might leave some stuff up to chance. And I don't know, it's cool.
It's fair.
Oh yeah.
Just a nice change of pace.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, when and I kind of was thinking about this earlier for certain things, but when you see the same thing and it hasn't really changed, kickoffs changed, they've changed the distance, so that way there's more touchbacks, and kickoffs, because of that running start, they're trying to get rid of kind of more of those running, to where because it is a very physical, demanding game, and concussions and head trauma and all that. Plus, they got rid of the middle wedge, where you could literally have an offensive lineman come down the field just lead blocking for you. That the NFL is doing a lot of things, and I think this could be the next step the NFL should take for their returns. And it doesn't get rid of them.
Will they though?
No, probably not. But I mean, it's kind of like the 4th instead of the onside. It's you're kind of getting rid of it, but you're adding something to make the game, I would say, more exciting. Because with this new kickoff, I think this has a higher chance for kick returns, especially with that kind of added chance of who's gonna. I mean, I guess it's still a situation, but it's cool, and I like it.
Just a nice change of pace from what we're accustomed to. That's what it is.
Yeah, it definitely. And I mean, kind of going back to that 4th and long to convert for instead of an onside kick. I've kind of went back and forth on this. So what I could see a lot of teams doing is going for it and trying to get a penalty, like a defensive holding or a pass interference, something that's going to give you an automatic first down to where, you're just going to go and do it every time because there's no like potential negative effects. I guess if you don't get it, you get it. The other team gets it on where you're you're not getting it. But do you think if the NFL would implement something like this, they should maybe consider a defensive penalty that normally would be an automatic first down doesn't automatically give them the first down, but maybe just the yardage, and then they have to retry from that spot?
They would have to be really specific because otherwise you're going to have guys clocking guys just so they drop it.
That's true. I mean, I think like there definitely would have to be stipulations, but I just was more hoping for something where like, a quarterback obviously underthrows it to try to get a pass interference or a little like.
So you're not talking about what Bradbury did.
Well, if you would let me finish for 5 seconds, I'm just kidding, but as something a not ticky-tack play like the Bradbury holding to where they got a holding off of something like that. It was holding. It was, but I'm saying, it's the same situation where they haven't called anything like that.
We can debate it. You can say it happens at every position. They get away with it, and then they decide to call it. Well, that's just the world we live in general.
I know, but
I'm just bringing up another side. That's all.
Yeah, I know, and it's just you'd have to find that medium ground to where, it's fair, and then again, that's what penalties are there for, to help.
Consistent.
Yeah, and when you're talking about NFL refs, there's no consistency whatsoever. So maybe that's, asking a little bit too much. And I mean, for the NFL to make a change like this is probably like the kickoff, something we won't see happen. So maybe we're just talking about stuff that won't ever happen. I mean, it would be cool to see change like this, but getting them to change is a whole nother thing.
I think it just seems easier to change stuff when you're on the outside looking in. I don't think it's as easy when you're involved like they are.
I mean, but you have like the XFL and then what's the other league?
The USFL that starts in April.
I don't think any of the refs transfer over, for one. And they're both kind of in their infancy on rules.
And not to mention they're trying these new rules out because they're trying to do something different that the NFL isn't doing to try to, get fan interest, because that's the whole kind of point of that kind of stuff. But at the same time, the NFL could easily take notes like, oh, this is pretty cool what they're doing. Like, let's at least talk about it. Let's get conversation going. So maybe in a couple years, you go from like 5 owners that approve it to like, it's a majority or however many votes it takes for a rule to get changed. It's just, it's something to look for in the future, and sometimes it takes a while. I mean, look at the pass interference challenge that they tried implementing a couple years ago. In theory, a good idea, but the way it was kind of implemented wasn't good, and that it wasn't used when it maybe should have been, or there wasn't any situations where it could have been used. It's kind of a give and take per se.
Yeah, definitely is. I mean, I think it's almost impossible. I think everybody's always gonna, because of the world we live in and social media, everyone's always gonna criticize everything as soon as something goes the way they don't like it.
That's true. And when you're thinking, especially looking at NFL playing and penalties, no matter what way, kind of, I think I said this last week, no matter what the call is, there's going to be people on both sides arguing the opposite of each other. So taking, for instance, what we were just talking about with the holding, there's going to be people that thought it was good and thought it wasn't.
Yeah, just look at how the game was years ago. Not even, we'll go back 15 years, 10 years. Guys like Ryan Clark, Chris Harris, they used to just clobber people. That's all they could do. They couldn't cover anyone. Their coverage skills were terrible. They were just there to bring pain. Those days are long past. Those guys could not, even in their prime, probably, they might make an NFL squad now, but Players like that would be
fined into bankruptcy.
Or just, I don't even think their athletic ability puts them on the field on a current NFL roster. Yeah, I'm just using those two guys as an example. I'm not going, obviously you could bring up guys like Polamalu, but I think he would, obviously. But, yeah, guys like Ryan Clark, I don't think he was that skilled. He could just hit people hard.
Yeah, I mean, the NFL...
Yeah, the NFL today has a lot more pure athletes. 20 years ago, is about, like, bigger, bulkier guys. Like, even the receivers, you go back and look at them, they're just bigger.
Yeah.
But now it actually takes an athlete.
I mean, in general, they're all faster because you got defensive linemen, and not Aaron Donald, other ones that are faster than a lot of players were 15 years ago at the Combine. And skilled positions, too, were faster. It's crazy. It's just a different time.
Yeah. Reason why you don't see white corners anymore.
I don't even think the college programs even give them the opportunity to try.
No.
I don't think... I mean, Troy Apke was changed to corner, I think, a year or two ago by Washington, but before him it was like 25 years or something since a white corner was in the league. But Troy Apke I don't really count too much because, one, I don't think he was more of a special teamer that was a very fast safety that they just kind of technically changed to corner, so he doesn't really count. But yeah, I agree that it's definitely becoming a more athletic game, and I honestly don't remember how we got onto that topic now thinking about it, but
it's just going off like the rule changes stuff. Like, it's not, there's no point to have a game where you're gonna go brain dead here in a few years just from getting clobbered by some big
And I think that's part of it is because these guys are bigger, stronger, faster.
Yeah, and you need rules to complement the game that we have at hand. The same rules. I mean, obviously.
They're never going to get rid of CTE. That's going to be when you have a contact sport like this. It's impossible. Yes.
Unless even if this was turned into a flag football, like professional flag football league.
How dare you say something like that?
I'm not saying that it ever would become to that, but I'm saying even then there would still be, brain injuries and stuff like that. Was what I'm trying to say. Like no matter how much physicality you take out of the game, there will always be those aspects. I mean, the NBA, I'm not going to say it's not a physically demanding sport, but there's still some of those issues. Maybe not so much brain injuries because you're not throwing around your heads at each other, but you still see people having serious injuries.
Once the union forces the NFL to pay the players like all guaranteed money, which I would assume in the next 5 years that's how it'll be for most players.
Well, when's the new CBA come up?
A year or two, I think.
Is it really that soon?
Well, that's why I said 5 years. I wasn't sure, but I just see it as we're going to have guys who do just like the NBA does, and you can't sit out games just because your ankle hurts a little bit. Not when you're paid that kind of money. I don't know. I see that once guaranteed money's implemented, that's how it'll be, even in a 17-game season, 16, whatever,
And you can assume that it will continue to go. The NFL will continue to add more games that you will more than likely see situations where teams start to potentially rest players. I mean, maybe not as what we see in the NBA because obviously the NFL, it's more of a every game matters, but who knows if we'll ever, I hope we don't ever get to that point where
Me too.
But I just looked it up. The new CBA will be up at 2030. It's every 10 years. I don't know why I didn't think about that.
Adam Silver for the NBA, he addressed players sitting out the other day.
Yeah, it's slowly becoming like a thing where the NBA is actually looking into how they can change it, but
because it's ridiculous. What was it? Since the 80s or in the 80s and 90s, something crazy, like 80 players that played.
Like a full game season, right?
Yeah, almost played every single game. Now it's like under 10. That's insane.
That's terrible. That just sounds so bad.
That's why NBA is so unwatchable to me.
Or like, you kind of when you want to go to a game, it's like, oh, I'm gonna go to. I'll take for instance Bulls versus Bucks. You want to go because you want to go see Giannis. Oh, is Giannis?
He's out.
Play?
Yeah, you don't want to go, but you can't cancel your tickets.
No, you can maybe sell them and hope you get most of your money back, some of your money back. Or you're just a nice dude and want to just give your tickets to a homeless person so they can have a good time for once. But there's no winning in that, other than feeling nice for doing a good deed. But that's beside the point. Who wants to feel nice nowadays? But
no, but here even just the games themselves are not cheap.
No, definitely not.
I mean, you take a family of 4, let's just use that as an example, and you eat there, you're $200, $300 easy.
Not to mention if you're say you have to come into
Traveling.
the city.
Yeah.
Or, most of these...
parking.
Yeah, parking. I mean, if you are traveling a distance in a car, gas.
That's where it bugs me with the NBA is I could almost go to an NFL game and spend the same money. It'd be close. Depending on it.
Shoot, the Pacers tickets I bought. They're the bottom section, like 10. Row 10, they weren't too bad, but still not cheap.
I mean, that's how it used to be here in Milwaukee, but then the Bucks started winning, and Giannis.
Yeah,
that's true.
A lot of it goes off that, but even the low market teams, it seems like they're getting pretty expensive, just below the high market teams.
Yeah, obviously
stuff's getting.
But then again, you can still go to even baseball. Like, for really good tickets, they're starting to increase in price.
Baseball used to be the most affordable one out of all of them.
Oh, yeah. A hot dog for a nickel.
Well, not that cheap. No. But no, you could go to a baseball game for like a whole family for like under $100. I don't know if that's possible anymore.
No.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Sox games, it's the White Sox, so they hardly have any fans besides me, but...
I like the White Sox too, so no Cubs here.
I didn't know that. Yeah, dirty Jeff. But their tickets are still next to nothing, I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah, you also got.
I haven't checked in a while. But...
Also, like, you gotta think, like, there's 162 MLB games, so it's like they know they can't increase the prices too much because then no one will come because it's baseball, and some people consider it maybe a boring sport, and it's more of the, like, for at least a lot of situations, it's more about kind of that stadium experience versus the actual game in many, depending on,
here it's about drinking in the parking lot before the pre-gaming. That's the big thing, where they have to, now you can't, people used to be able to stay in the parking lot the whole time, now you can't. Like, really? Not buy a ticket, you just pay for parking, get drunk, hang out with all the fans, and then just watch it or listen to it in your car. They've ended that because of all the shenanigans.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Well, because here, like, as an example, like, if they had, let's say, 4 o'clock game or whatever, people would be down there setting up their tables, getting ready to party at, like, 7 a.m. And they would just get hammered all day. Then they would go into the stadium.
Yeah. Baseball.
Granted, we are a beer town, so I think that's part of the culture behind that, but it doesn't mean it's good.
Midwest in general.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Brats and beer.
Cheese.
Can't forget the cheese.
It's just not really, there's not money. I couldn't think of anything cheese related besides nacho cheese at the stadium, really.
Beer cheese brat?
Yeah. That's a Wisconsin thing.
Yep. And and even for us, we don't have any of that stuff at the stadium. There really isn't like a specialty item,
No. But hey,
yeah, Colts, there ain't nothing. It's just the basic stuff. This is a little off topic, but like the food in the Pacers Stadium, compared to Lucas Oil, it's like way different. There's like Chick-fil-A in the Pacers.
In Lucas Oil, right?
No, in crap. What did they?
Oh, it's in their arena. They have and Chick-fil-A isn't open on Sunday, so if it's a Sunday game, it's not open.
Yeah, it's in crap. I can't think of the Pacers Stadium's new name.
They just changed it recently.
Yeah, and they remodeled it. It's Is it Gainhouse? The Gainhouse?
That sounds.
I don't know.
That sounds close. I keep thinking Guaranteed Rate, but that's
no, it's
White
not.
Sox.
Yep.
But anyways, they have like actual restaurants. They have like Steak and Shake and stuff in that.
That's
Lucas
cool.
Oil doesn't have anything like that. I mean, they do, but it's like not like that. It's the Lucas Oil's food is as basic as you get.
Well, it's definitely a lot closer to like what you expect concession food to be, like, you know.
Yeah,
chicken,
like at a high
hot
school.
dog. Yeah.
Yeah, but
and I think
go on.
I was gonna say, like, when it comes to baseball and basketball, I think their concessions are way better than any, like, when you look at most, if not all, NFL experiences when it comes to concession food.
Yeah, that's just crazy to me. Like, I didn't think about that until now.
And I think part of that has to do with those two leagues need more incentives to get the people into the seats. Like, oh, we can go to a Pacers game, and yeah, maybe the Pacers, or, you know, I'm not big on the NBA, but we can sit down and have like some pretty cool food while we watch. And same with baseball.
That's the problem, is the fan experience with all these sports is going to crap. It's all about TV.
Well, that's where the
stuff.
money comes from.
Oh, yeah, I know, but if you don't have fans, you might just have a bubble all the time then. If you're not going to have fans.
Yeah, well, see how that went in 2020? I mean, not everyone, no sporting person was a fan of that.
Yeah, the sports were horrible that year.
So, I think we might come to a situation where we might hit some. We're obviously in that for some sports leagues where, you know, the fan experience isn't the best, but I'm sure, especially with, like, you know, as we see, like, some NFL teams in the next 10 years should be getting new stadiums. When you look at the Titans or the Bears, two that came to my mind right away.
I heard the Titans stadium's actually pretty nice.
It is. It looks nice from what I've seen.
Better than some.
It doesn't seem like it's going to be much bigger. Like, it's going to be around the same seating. So it kind of, I think that was one of the issues, or at least one of the issues I've seen with them building a new one, is because they want this something really big so they can host a lot more. Because that's, I think the Super Bowl, you have to have like a requirement for how many seats you have. And from what I saw, the new stadium won't even have that. So maybe stuff will change. I don't know, but it does look really cool from some of the, like, what was that in the fall? Some of those photos came out about them, some of the renderings of what to expect, at least with the new stadium.
Yeah, I keep going off topic, but did you see Indy's hosting the All-Star game next year?
Really?
Yeah.
When's the last time they hosted? It's been a while, I think.
I don't know. Adam Silver was talking about it and saying Indy's, because they made a big, they redid the stadium and everything. It's real nice in there.
That makes sense.
They usually do it for a reason, not just because of, oh, this one's run down, let's just redo it. They're trying to entice something like that to come.
Oh yeah, that's the whole point. Like, that's one of the big reasons the Bears organization just bought Arlington Park, is because they want to be able to host, you know, Final Fours or, you know, different bowl games or just non-NFL related things, or the Super Bowl too. Duh. But you know, it's that incentive to be able to collect revenue from other sources. And I mean, with, I guess, Soldier Field, it's owned by the city, so, you know, the McCaskies and the whole NFL Bears organization isn't really getting any of that money. So, you know, there's a lot of incentives to always, but that's really cool that the Pacers are hosting. I guess we'll have to go to that next year.
You guys will have to go to something. Maybe not the game, but something.
Hey, dunk contest, Matt McClung, you know, back-to-back winners.
He might
maybe
be in
by
China by then.
I think he'll come back. If he isn't in the league, he'll come. I mean, they're going to invite him back unless LeBron's like, you know what? No, screw it. This is the year I finally do the dunk contest, which I doubt. But
he'll get showed up, and that can't happen to him.
I mean, and that's part of the reason why a lot of actual top NBA dunkers don't do it, is because, I mean, look at what happened to Aaron Gordon. He's been arguably, he hasn't won it in 2 times he's been there, and you can argue he definitely should have.
I mean, this year is acting like the first good dunk contest in years.
Oh yeah, I compared that to last year. I don't remember the year before, because even though that was nope, that was 2020. It was in Chicago, but compare it at least to last year's. This was light years better. Some people are saying dunks weren't still that good. I mean, like, they were pretty good, and when you look at, you know, the fact that it was a G League player, it was some of these guys that aren't necessarily like the top guys in the league, it was pretty fun to watch. And I mean, 3-point contest, always cool to watch. I mean, it's guys shooting threes, and you know, sometimes they get hot at the last second. That's pretty cool. Even though it's not the top guys, I mean, Dame's obviously one of the best 3-point shooters. Buddy Hield, Tyrese Halliburton. There's guys that can shoot it, but you know, what incentive do you have to get Steph Curry to do it every year when everyone knows he's the best in the league? And you know, it's not like he needs to make a name for himself, or, you know, it's not like, I don't even know if you get any money for
Curry. Got hurt, didn't he, though?
Yeah, he was hurt, but I don't think he was he planned to before he got hurt? I don't know. Those come out, the 3-point and dunk contest, I feel like come out like days before the events, and Curry's been hurt for like a couple of weeks now. Yeah. So I don't know. But I mean, speaking of the All-Star weekend that just happened, and we're talking about how exciting the dunk contest is, look back now at the Pro Bowl. Can the Pro Bowl even compete with All-Star weekend? Like, what could the NFL do to even be able to compete?
They'd have to make it way more interactive.
Yeah, I honestly don't watch either. I just see the highlights, see who won, who did what.
I only did it because I'm a fan of McClug's just dunking. I don't think he's whatever. I don't think he's an NBA talent. I think he's right on the cusp. But I remember seeing his high school highlights. So
no, but that still enticed you to watch, and like,
correct.
And you know, it's a cool thing. Like, you know, there was something there to make you watch. What does the Pro Bowl have to make someone watch? Like,
just get rid of it.
I mean, and like, even some of the games that were a part of it, the NFL players were like, this is like, they did like an egg toss with a water balloon. Like, why would an NFL those are picnic games? Why would an NFL player want to do those? Like, I mean, compare that to like back in the, like, even last year they had like a 40-yard dash runoff. Like, NFL players seem to like that. Other people outside of it liked, you know, watching that. Why'd they get rid of something like that to add in an egg toss? Like, bring back some of those things. Bring back, you know, like, you know, the strongest man thing where, you know, players are benching, you know, in the middle of like a field, like, or like who can throw it the farthest. I know we've kind of talked about this before, but
so like a recombine.
Yeah, kind of, but you know, you're just chilling, and you know, you're there's no like stress to it. It's like, okay, you know, I'm just hanging out with other NFL like Patrick Mahomes, throw it 90 yards. I don't know why I said
yeah, I actually like that. That's actually cool. Do like by position. Yeah. And do like the best bench and stuff like that.
Yeah, and obviously, you know, there's like injury related things, so some people might opt out of it. But you tell me an offensive lineman's going to opt out of like bench pressing 225 50 times?
No,
but they don't want to do that anymore. They did it once if they got lucky enough to be invited to the combine.
Yeah. No, that would be really, really boring.
Because you tear a pec. Basically, if you kind of take the Mac theory in the dunk contest, what if you brought into like the skills competition, you brought some college players against the pros? Something. I mean, obviously college football has a way bigger following than even the NFL. You know? I don't know.
I'm gonna give you a little history lesson here, Brett. The NFL used to do stuff like that. There was a college versus whoever won the Super Bowl would play a college all-star team. The last one was actually in the mid '70s. It was the Steelers versus a college all-star team in Chicago. Look into that, and you'll see why.
No, that's a different concept than I'm saying. I'm saying just for the Pro Bowl, not for the craziness. You're gonna end up getting a college kid killed at this rate with the athletes the way they are.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But no, I'm just saying you need to. I guess here, we can't judge every experience because I don't know if I'll ever be able to go to an XFL game or a USFL game. There's really none around me. And at this point in my life, I'm not going to travel out of my way to go to one. Even if you gave me free tickets, probably not. As sad as that is to say,
was the closest one to us is probably St. Louis.
That's what I think so.
That's still a 4-hour drive.
And pardon my French people in St. Louis, besides the Arch, which I've already seen in my life, I don't have any interest in ever going back to that city, so none.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm getting that way about Chicago, and I actually like Chicago. I just don't like the way it's run, so it makes me... Hence why the Bears are leaving the city.
That's all you need to say about that. But
it kind of starts with the All-Star game because people, and I know Cody doesn't really follow the NBA, probably the same as I do, not that great, but it's the fact that I'm sure he's heard the question, did Max save the dunk contest? And I'm kind of sick of hearing that question. I just don't understand how they let it get to this point. Because if you look back to even the 90s, even the early 2000s, and I saw the guys who were in the stands. You see guys like Dwayne Wade there. It's still an experience that those guys want to attend because they all hang out. But they don't want to actually do anything anymore. That's the problem.
Yeah, NBA's kind of incentivized that. And I think it goes back to them sitting on games and stuff, and they're finally addressing that.
Maybe.
I don't know.
And I'm like, what?
Maybe it'll just make everything somewhat better and make them want to play every game now.
They'll never want to because they're...
No, they won't want to.
All the bonus, unless they change the bonus structures to you play 60-plus games, you get this much. They don't do that anymore. Used to.
It would have to be a hefty amount of money for them to do that.
I know.
When you think of like some of these guys that are getting like shoe contracts and like they have so many other revenue streams that like you would have to incentivize it so much to the point where it's like, okay, I'm missing out on like millions. Obviously every level of stardom differs. Like if I'm going to take Kawhi for instance, because he has that New Balance contract, he has some other things. Like how much does his roster bonus of being able to play, like how much does his has to be to kind of say like you need to play the X amount of games? And then you get to a situation like Ben Simmons, like, oh, I'm mentally ill, like I can't play. Like where do you cut the line of like what's allowed, what's not allowed?
And for once I'll take the ignorant American out of me, but we need to look at here. Just look at, they are not tapping in. They've given up on trying to tap in other countries, other nations, because I saw on a different podcast, and I'm not going to name the name of what podcast, but did you know one of the top cricket players in the world, what do you think he has for followers on Instagram? Just take an example. I guess. Not example.
Top cricket people in the world?
He's a player. One of the top cricket players in the entire world. How many Instagram followers do you think he has?
A couple thousand, maybe.
237 million. How many does LeBron have?
A lot.
100.
Probably.
So that just shows you that we're not tapping into resources. There's untapped resources that they've just given up on trying to go.
Like, towards. Look at, like, Messi and Ronaldo.
Don't get me wrong. This guy's from India, so we don't really... As far as I know, none of our sports... I don't know of any Indian pro player in the NFL, NBA, or baseball. So it's just something that doesn't happen there, but still. Yeah. I understand. Yeah, football/soccer is the same way. I get that, but a sport that I don't even fully understand. It just shows you how much, because we look at LeBron as like that status, that guy, one of them. You know what I mean? And for a guy who plays cricket to double him almost or more, and we don't even know who the guy is. His name's Kohli, Kohli. Yeah, no clue who he is. I just happened to see it.
But I think that also.
He's probably.
Yeah, what were you saying? I was just gonna say that also goes into the fact that like some of the like when you look at like soccer, football, or cricket, like there's such more internationally played. And
cricket started off as an English sport, right?
Yeah, it's big. It's huge in India and Australia too.
Well, no, there's a reason why.
Yeah, and
because England
colonies,
both of those.
Yep.
Yeah, that's true.
So, and India's huge, and then probably all of England, all the English countries.
But yeah, it just makes you think about, okay, this guy plays. A guy we've never heard of has way more people. Like, he's more famous than LeBron worldwide. That's crazy to think of.
Yeah.
When you think of LeBron. And I'm sure even if Jordan would be around that followers if it was his heyday. But even then, that's still a crazy thought. You know what I mean? It just is. And I think that's where the NFL, he's like, I'm sick of just the UK. They need to go to other places.
Well, they played in Germany this year. They're going to play. It looks like maybe the Bears and Chiefs are going to play in Germany again.
Yeah, but why not try to have a game? Okay, because you can't say that they don't have a space for the NFL to play and let Dubai in India. They have plenty of soccer fields that are nicer than most of our NFL fields.
I think it's also they're not trying to force too much too quickly. Like, let's try to get
because I heard the guy
first.
from Dubai, whatever, the king, president, whatever he is, he wants an NFL game there. And he's willing to pay the whole bill to make whatever arrangements they need on the stadium for the NFL, to pay for all their flights. Like, the teams wouldn't have to pay, but the NFL said no.
Really? I know they played preseason games in Japan before. That used to be like a.
But you know what I mean? Like, to me, I would take the opportunity in Dubai for sure, because that's such an up and coming city in the world, on the world scope that.
And the fact that
no crime, so you don't have to worry about nothing.
Well, everyone that lives there is loaded and drives Bugattis and crap. Cause
they just the thing is they don't really drive. I don't think alcohol's legal there. You know what I mean? They just don't have the nonsense. I'm sure they have just as many crazy people, but their punishment for what they do with those crazy people, we let them loose here. There, they probably shut them away somewhere.
Yeah, well, it's the richest city in the world, so
yeah, I think
there's a reason.
But that's where I think they need to try to. I don't like having to get up early to watch a UK game, but if it's going to keep these sports alive and fun, it's what it is. What it is.
Yeah, I don't know if American football will ever be as dominant as soccer.
No, it's too late.
Even basketball is pretty out there in other countries, but
because why get your head smashed in when you can make more money playing soccer?
Yeah,
that's true.
There's a reason why even some top football players don't want their kids playing.
No, they have them playing soccer
or basketball.
Yep.
That's true.
Oh, and here, for America-wise, you don't even bother with the MLB because I think Americans are like 5%, if even that. All coming from South America, Central America.
Puerto Rico.
Dominican Republic.
Even some Mexico. There's a Japan.
No, you know what I mean? That just shows you what the priorities there. They don't play other maybe a little basketball, but you know what I mean? They don't play other sports there. That's their focus.
Yeah.
We have too many focuses here.
Well,
because I bet you Russell Wilson, you gave him the choice now, he probably would have played baseball. Maybe.
But I mean, it's very interesting looking back. You know, guys like, did a guy like Russell Wilson make the right decision? Did a guy like Patrick Mahomes or Jameis Winston, Tom Brady, you know, these guys that were signed to multi-sports, or you know, guys like Deion Jackson or not Deion Sanders or Bo Jackson who played in two sports. Like,
can you imagine that now? They would never allow it.
No, they wouldn't.
You wouldn't be able to leave your game and fly to your next game.
No, it's kind of.
I don't know who would want to do that. Yeah. I wouldn't even want to do that for the money.
There would be guys who would still want to do it.
Oh yeah,
very few.
I personally,
but there isn't that many enough talented to actually do it. That's the problem.
I'm gonna leave you all with a fun fact to end the podcast with. We're talking about multi-player sports or players that played multiple sports. There's a man in the 20s named Ernie Nevers.
Well, at times back then didn't matter because.
No, I know the story. Go ahead.
That is true. It was a way different time, but it's a cool story to end on because we're talking about players that play multiple sports. When he was with the Chicago Cardinals, he created the record for most consecutive points scored and still holds the record today of 6 rushing touchdowns in a game. Alvin Kamara tied it on Christmas Day a couple years ago, but 6 is still the record today. In 1927, and the year before, he played baseball for the St. Louis Browns. In that 1927 year, he was a pitcher, and Babe Ruth, the year that he broke the home run record, two of those home runs came against Ernie Nevers.
That's pretty crazy.
A little fun fact for you that some old heads a long time ago did it too, and we probably won't ever see it.
Without you, I wouldn't have known who he was. Didn't you do a school report on him?
That is true, but hey, we'll never see stuff like that ever happen today.
Nope.
Oh no, he probably had 6 beers during the
and a couple of smokes.
Yeah,
maybe.
So
I mean,
it didn't take much back then.
No, that's true. But little story for you to end the podcast with. But hey, make sure everyone, you all like, comment, subscribe, feedback. You know the drill. You do all those things, and you'll get a cookie. Make sure to follow us on all our social medias. They're always linked down below. No idea what you said, Brett. But
I said false advertising because you're not going to send anyone a cookie.
No, but if they ask for a cookie, you know what? I might give it to them. If
you get chocolate chip,
whatever cookie you guys want, I'll make it for you. I can't promise it'll be good or even edible, but I'll do my best. I might just buy some at Walmart, to be honest with you. But come back next week. We'll have lots more fun to talk about. Maybe it'll be football related. Maybe we'll turn into an XFL podcast from now on. But no promising in that. But hey, have a good weekend, everybody.
Later, guys.
Catch you later.
Thanks for listening to Audible Sportscast, your home for all things sports.